we go. Good morning, everybody. Sorry, we had to go grab more chairs. It's good to see everybody there. Are we live online as well? Nope. Not yet. All right, we'll get there. Look at all your faces. Look at everybody out there. This is good to see. Hey, please, please, please. We need you when we have the chairs set out. So we got to have everybody scoot back to where the chairs were. We have to have them 6 feet apart. We have to be very careful about this. You guys understand what's going on in the world. So, it's always our guy groups, girls. Our 6th grade guys and our upperclassmen. You guys love to be close to each other, which I'm fine with, man. I'm glad you guys love each other. Unless you have a twin brother or twin sister, you need to be further than 6 feet apart. Unless you were born coming out together, you gotta be 6 feet apart, all right? So please, spread out a little bit, girls. Hey, look next to you if you're within touching distance. All you did was scoot her close to you. Thank you. I know. Like, you may be like, well, we spent the night, we did this, that's fine, but here you gotta be spread out. Keep your mask on unless you're on stage. Follow the rules. We want to keep everybody. We want to be able to continue doing what we do down here. We want all you guys back at school. Grain Valley, you guys start up in just a few days, right? 26, you guys go back? That's coming up quick. It's only like 2 weeks. Blue Springs, you had your first week back in school. Week or, well, like 3 days? 3 days? Did it feel good to like get up, put clothes on, get to class? No? None of you liked it? Like, was anybody excited to get back to school? Oh my gosh. Some of you guys, we have a ministry full of introverts nowadays. Come on, people. I thought you guys would be like, get back. I'm done with being at home all day long. Hey, I'm glad you guys are all back. We had a great time this past Wednesday with our high schoolers. Guys, it was just a lot of fun just doing something together with you. So, I want to make sure everybody knows what's going on over the next few weeks, all right? Because we got a lot of stuff like in the works right now. And so we kicked off this past Wednesday with our high school party, because mid-school you guys already had yours, but then we had to, like, for COVID reasons, postpone high school. So the next few weeks, we will have life groups on Wednesday morning. So join us on Wednesday morning. Don't come on Wednesday morning. Wednesday night, we are back on our life groups. We will be meeting at what time? 6:30. Thank you. For some reason, I was thinking 6 o'clock because I threw us all off for a curveball last Wednesday, and we met at 6 o'clock. So 6:30 for life groups. We are done at 7:45-ish. We're usually finishing up around then. So 8 o'clock. So come on out at 6:30 for life groups, guys. We'd love to have you all here. Guys and girls kind of split up, mid-school and high school split up into different groups, and it's a good time just to kind of go a little bit deeper in maybe what we're studying. If you can, we do want everybody to know we're trying something, and we can't start it yet until we have a bunch of people on it. So if you use YouVersion app, which for our life group stuff, that's the majority of what we do, we are trying to simplify it a little bit, and we started our own FSM Blue Springs profile under YouVersion. So if you have your phone out, you can do this right now. Search for FSM Blue Springs as a friend, and then send a friend request to us, all right? So instead of it being like my individual account or Andrew's or, Jay's, what we might end up doing even is doing like a FSM high school or FSM mid school, but right now we want to test something out. And so we need everybody to, if you use YouVersion, send a friend request to that so we can accept you guys all. What we would love to see happen is for like our whole student ministry. If you've ever used the YouVersion app, you can kind of do your little devotional. It takes like 3 or 4 minutes in the day, and then you can leave a comment on something you learned. We would really like to try to do something at least one time to see how it works, of just seeing what, like for a student ministry, to go through together. So they are, 7th graders, 6th graders can see what our high schoolers are posting, and our high schoolers can kind of see what other people are getting out of the same thing they read. And so it's a really cool, I love this app. I think it's an easy way to get in God's Word. I think it's an easy way to see what other people are doing. And so we would love for you guys to all join us on there so we can just kind of like walk through something together as a student ministry. So Send that to that if you guys can. And if you don't use YouVersion app, talk to your parents about it. If you need to get parent permission, please do that because it's a great app and it's super easy, like I said, just to start learning how to get into God's Word. So that's that. A couple other things we do want you guys to be aware of, and I know it sounds far away, but it's going to come up really quick, and it's all kind of, it's going to go fast. So what we are going to do, because our mid-school Christmas thing went off so great and our high school Christmas thing went off so great, we cannot bring everybody together all the time on Wednesdays yet. We're just not there yet. Even doing what we're doing today, like, this is awesome. And you can see how fast this room fills up pretty quickly. But what we want to try doing is another Wednesday night thing all together. We're calling it Exodus, but if you've been to Exodus before, I know it's been like almost a year since we've had Wednesday night Exodus. It'll be kind of like that, but a little bit more to it. So it's not going to be like, you know, like our Uxwab or like going crazy, like thank you, or like Glowtober. They're all forgetting. It's been so long. Or like Glowtober, it's not going to be like that type of all-out night, but it's going to be something a little bit bigger than what we normally would do for an Exodus. We are going to be meeting, trying to use the first Wednesdays out of the month to do like a big all-together Exodus, and then we'll follow through with 3 weeks of life group. So we're trying to do a little bit of the things we used to do, normal stuff that we're doing, but still follow as many guidelines and still also offer some small group stuff as well. So coming up in February, and then I know a lot of people have been asking, like, are we going to do refuel, or is there going to be a camp? Is there going to be this? The answer is yes, but it's going to look different. And so I want you guys to be aware that the first weekend of March, just start thinking like that is going to be refuel weekend. And I know some of you don't even know what refuel is, but we'll get there, all right? Some of our younger people. So I want you guys just to be thinking, am I going to be able to invite a friend to refuel? Is there going to be something? Yes. There will be, and we will have refuel. It's going to look different, but it's going to have some good stuff, and we'll talk more about that probably next Sunday. So first weekend of March, just know. So I wanted you guys to be aware that there are things popping up this semester as long as we keep everybody healthy, that nothing gets any more stopped or shut down than what we have been doing. So first Wednesday of the month, big Exodus, life groups on Wednesdays. And then refuel weekend is coming up first weekend in March. And all of those things, it'll go really, really quick. All right? Everybody good? Yeah? All right. Well, that's all. I know that's a ton of announcements, but there's just been lots of questions coming our way. I wanted everybody to know what was going on. We do have a game, and I had this game saved for a few weeks now because we have not met. But it's still a fun game, even though it's one of our last Christmas games. I wanted to try it out because I think Andrew tried it once, and it was like kind of tricky, but it was like the Thanksgiving one I think we did, but this is going to be the Christmas one. Did you do that guys versus girls? Was that a K versus K? That's jelly. K, James and Kelly, I think is what we did. I just called you K and Jelly. James and Kelly. I like that. If you guys ever form a band. So we did guys versus girls. Did we have somebody up here on stage when you did it? Okay. Let's bring up Jay and Kelly. Why not? Because Jay needs a win today. Come on up, Jay. So, Jay, you're going to be over here. You can grab one of those microphones. Kelly, you're going to be over here. Here is what we're going to do. This is Christmas Word Scramble, all right? Now, it took you guys a little bit to remember like how you played the game last time. Was the letters will pop up. Let's give her that microphone. The letters are going to pop up, but it's going to look kind of like Wheel of Fortune look. Just use that red button to turn it on. But even as the letters pop up, those words are scrambled. So as they're coming up, you still have to unscramble them. If you know the answer, run up and say it to Jay, or Jay, if you know the answer, you can just yell it out yourself, all right? So you can run up, tell Jay, or Jay, you just call it out, all right? You guys remember how we did this game? For those of you here? All right, you'll get the hang of it. It's a funny game. I want to check this out. So, Will, was there instructions? We want to go ahead and start that. Go ahead and start it up, Will. Let me know what we got here. I paid for it, so we're going to use this game. I don't care if it's Christmas edition. It's all still in your mind here. All right, so it's just telling you what it is, all right? You're going to figure out it's all Christmas phrases. but it's sudden death, so letters will pop up, but even those letters are scrambled. All right, let's go ahead and go to the first one. Let's try the first one. Girls, if you know the answer, run up and tell Kelly. Kelly will say it. Or Will, you got to give me a thumbs up if they get it correct, all right? If not, just keep going. Don't worry. Some of these are longer than others. Now, girls, if you figure it out, just run up there.
Sarah, what is that?
Is this English?
Yes. Tell them, hurry.
Going to Christmas concerts.
Going to Christmas concerts. That is correct.
What?
Going to
Say
Christmas
that.
concerts.
Oh, it's scrambled. Oh.
Sudden death, word guess,
Whoops.
scramble.
I was like, Sarah,
I thought
what?
I thought I said that a few times. As the laughter of the audience, Kelly, I think they all got that.
Whoops.
So you were trying to make words out of it.
I was like, this
Okay.
doesn't say anything.
Girls, you're going to have to help her out a little bit
I
today,
need
all right?
help.
All right, Jay and the men are up 1-0. All right, go to the next one. Let's do 5 of these just for time's sake here.
Perfect.
Scrambled.
Scrambled.
They're scrambled. If you know the answer, run up and yell it at them. But don't yell it from your seat, because then they'll steal it.
Or is it just one word as a scramble or the whole thing?
Phrases.
Wearing ugly sweaters.
Wearing ugly sweaters? Oh!
Yes!
Boom.
Stephanie.
That's not on me, guys.
Girls rule, boys drool.
That was good. That was
Yes.
good. All right.
Somebody take her out.
All right, 1-1, ladies. 1-1. Let's go to the next one. Dang, Stephanie.
Yes.
Good. Take a guess, Jay.
No. Mm-mm. You only get one guess.
She's making up rules over here. Anybody? Oh, Marin's got it.
Singing Christmas carols.
Oh!
That was definitely
Good
me. I won. 100% over here.
Yeah, Andrew, what do you think?
What are you doing? What's happening over there? What?
What do you got? Andrew said Jay. All right.
No! What?
Hey.
What? I demand a recount.
All right, next one. 2-1.
I'm gonna stand closer to the edge this
2
time.
to 1. 2 to 1.
What's that one say?
You gotta put your mask on.
What? You can't go out there. You gotta stay on the stage. Kanger,
Ooh, 2 to
can't.
1.
Tracing.
Jay, with the win, you
Tarantula.
automatically get the whole game here.
The seal? No.
That has more than 4 letters.
Nope.
Okay.
Giant? Giant. Is that giant? What is that?
Scrambled, Kelly.
Okay. I get it. No, that's not the right word. Can't. Night?
Men, Colin, come on.
Tans?
Don't play yet. Last chance. We got anything?
Snat? What does that say?
Taking
What?
pictures with Santa Claus.
What?
Taking pictures of. Oh! Taking pictures with Santa Claus.
Oh,
We're
Marin.
only gonna play 3 or 5 rounds, and he got 3. So
When did he get 3? I didn't count 3.
Sorry.
One of
you
those
got
was
the first
questionable.
one. He
It
got
was
the tiebreaker.
debatable.
So sorry,
Nah.
Kelly.
I don't take
Game's
it.
over. Man, you guys. Oh,
That was a lie.
good
None of that
job.
happened.
Good job. Good try, Kelly. Way to go. All right. Good job, James. Jay needed a win today. All right. Way to go, man. Hey, so that was our last Christmas thing that we will do. So we finished. We had our high school winter Christmas party. Finished a little Christmas game, and we are gonna be starting a new series called Vibes, just talking about emotions, talking about all the different things that we deal with in life and how sometimes these things can get the best of us. Not necessarily bad, but sometimes it can be. And so it's going to be a great morning. Guys, we're just excited for you here. We're online now, right?
We're online.
All right, thank you for joining us online, and whether you're watching it right now or you're checking it out later. I don't know what camera I'm on, so I'm looking around everywhere. All right, so we hope you guys, if you're watching it throughout the week, leave some comments there. For you guys right now, let's go and stand on up. Let's have a little bit of worship, a little bit of teaching, and some great small group discussion here. So, you just want to?
We'll go into it.
Okay, you're going to go right into it.
Sing with me. I believe that the future is brighter. I believe in His promise for me. I believe that He's working and He's not done. The best is yet to come. I know He makes the anxious courageous. I know He makes the doubters believe. I know He won't stop working 'cause He's not done. The best is yet to come. I've got this hope in my soul. I know You won't let me go. Lord, I believe Your life in me. I've just begun. The best is yet to come. Go ahead and put those hands together with me. I believe that He gives second chances. I believe He works all things for good. I believe that He's working and He's not done. The best is yet to come. I've got this hope in my soul. I know You won't let me go. Lord, I believe Your life in me. I've just begun. Yeah, I've got this hope in my soul. I know You won't let me go. Lord, I believe with Your life in me. I've just begun. The best is yet to come. I've got my hopes high. You make my hopes rise. I've got my hopes high. You hold my whole life. I've got my hopes high. You make my hopes rise. I've got my hopes high. You hold my whole life. I've got my hopes high. You make my hopes rise. I've got my hopes high. You hold my whole life. I've got my hopes high. You make my hopes rise. I've got my hopes high. You hold my whole life. Yeah, I've got this hope in my soul. I know You won't let me go. Lord, I believe Your life in me. I've just begun. Yeah, I've got this hope in my soul. I know You won't let me go. Lord, I believe Your life in me. I've just begun. The best is yet to come. I count on one thing. The same God that never fails will not fail me now. You won't fail me now in the waiting. The same God who's never late is working all things out. You're working all things out. Yes, I will lift You high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless Your name. Oh, yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy in all my days. Oh, yes, I will. I count on one thing. The same God that never fails will not fail me now. You won't fail me now in the waiting. The same God who's never late is working all things out. You're working all things out. Oh yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. Oh yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy in all my days. Oh yes, I will for all my days. Oh yes, I will. I choose to praise, to glorify the name of all names. Nothing can stand against. I choose to praise, to glorify the name of all names. That nothing can stand against, and I choose to praise, to glorify the name of all names. That nothing can stand against, and I choose to praise, to glorify the name of all names. Nothing can stand against. Oh yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. Oh yes, I will for joy when my heart is heavy all my days. Oh yes, I will for all my days. Yes, I will for all my days. Yes, I will. God, we thank you for your goodness. God, I thank you that we can sing these songs. God, that you promise that the best that you have for us is better than anything that we can imagine. God, I pray that our only response as a student ministry is to take those promises and share them with the world around us, and let our lives be lives of praise to your name. God, I pray that we can be salt and light, just like Greg talked about this morning upstairs. Father, I thank you for your goodness, and I thank you for the chance to get to sing songs of praise with you in this place this morning. Amen.
Yo,
What up, dude?
what's up?
What up?
What's up?
Yo.
What's up, dude?
What it do, boo? What's going on, man?
Not a lot, man. Just chilling.
Cool. So, what are you up to this weekend? Thinking about going roller skating on Sunday.
Oh, dope. I'd love to go. Actually, I'm busy in the morning, but I mean, afternoon, I'd love to go.
What you got going on?
Oh, I'm going to church.
Church? Like church?
Yep.
Since when do you go to church?
For the past month or so. It's pretty cool.
Oh, I bet it is.
Sorry?
Nothing. You're just a Christian now, right?
Yeah.
You love God now, right?
Yeah.
Devote your life to him because he's given you what?
I mean, unconditional love, forgiveness,
Which one?
both,
Oh, both. So God's gonna love you no matter what you do or say, huh?
basically.
So no matter what you do, you're gonna be forgiven, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I'm sure you love the fact that Jesus gave up his life to free you from that sin and then rose again 3 days later. I'm sure you totally believe that.
Yeah, actually, I do.
And that gives you hope and enough strength to get out of the bed and face every day.
Totally.
Oh, and now you've chosen to follow God for the rest of your life and make disciples and teach people the true meaning of life.
I hope so, yeah.
And you'll be kind to forgive people when they're mean, even if it doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and even though you mess up, God still loves you and still with you.
Exactly. I learned that at church. It's pretty cool.
Oh, I bet you it's so cool. I bet you has a preacher and everything, huh?
Yeah.
And that preacher teaches you about the Bible, and everyone there is greeting you, and they're so happy to see you.
Yep.
And now that you're saved, you're going to church, and now your life has more joy and direction of purpose.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Awesome, totally, yeah. Now you have promised salvation, and you get to spend eternity with God. No sickness or death or sadness. No pain, no tragedy.
Pretty much. You good?
That sounds so nice.
It is.
That sounds so good.
I know.
I want to go to church. I want people to care about me. I love you, man. I don't tell you that enough. Thank you.
I don't know what. Okay.
Thank you.
It's all right. Just, yep. I know. I know. I know. Yep. Yeah. Okay. It's all right.
All right, let's talk about emotions for a second there. How many of you guys have ever been embarrassed by some sort of overflowing of emotions that you didn't mean to show, but it just came out at some point anyways? Anybody, whether that was like, you did something embarrassed, whether you laughed so much that like you peed, or Little known secret, guys, girls do that apparently all the time. As having multiple daughters and doing this job long enough, I'd never realized like that was a real thing, but apparently it is. But you've all had, surely everybody's done something where you liked somebody and you did something so stupid and embarrassed yourself, or maybe even crying in public, on stage, whatever that may be. I'm just kidding. It happens to everybody. It happens to everybody. Where we allow, emotions are great and they're good. And we need them, obviously, or we'd be dead inside. But sometimes they can get the best of it. Still, to my day, I still feel stupid about it. And it's nothing, and no one even remembers it. But I still remember, I wrestled all throughout high school. I coached for years. And my very first wrestling meet, I went out there, and I got just destroyed. This guy just beat me up and down. I'd only been, we started out as my freshman year, so I'd had, 4.5 weeks of practice or something. But I thought highly of myself, so I'm like, I'm going to beat this guy. And I went out there and just got manhandled. And after I get up, and it probably lasted 45 seconds. It was humiliating. It was devastating. And I got up, and I just remember, I was like, what happened? And I felt so stupid because it happened in front of other people, and all these people are watching. And because back then, crowds used to go to sporting events. It's crazy, guys, I know. And so, I got up, and I was just I didn't know what to do, and I walked over, and I, hit that guy's coach's hand, and I walk over, and my coach, he came out, and he just went to put his hand up, and I lost it. So he went for a handshake, and I just went in and hugged him, and I started bawling because I was so, overwhelmed with defeat and humiliation. And I don't know how many, wrestling coaches you guys know or been around, but crying on their shoulder is not the thing they are expecting right there. These are cold-hearted men, all right? And they are ruthless. And so he goes and puts his hand out for me, and I'm not kind of teary-eyed. I bawled because I had never experienced that sort of defeat where somebody just beat me up in front of a crowd of people and that quick. And I just started crying. And the response from my coach was the most awkward moment where I couldn't control. Even as I was doing it, I was like, what are you doing? And I am bawling on. I'm like snot. And I'm like, how did I get beat so bad? And he's like, okay, Roush. And he kind of does one of these and then kind of pushes me and goes, hey, go hide yourself in the hallway. That was the response from this man was no one wants to see that. Go hide it. Maybe that was what killed me inside, to show emotion in front of people. That one response, and I went out there, and I'm in the hallway, and I'm like, I get clean. I'm like, what are you doing? And I go and sit down on the row with my teammates, and they're like, were you crying? No. It was just, I got hit, and it hit my nose, and it was watering. I felt so dumb, and my coach never spoke of it, thank goodness, and I didn't. But we can lose that emotion still today. I was devastated by that. I felt so stupid. And we can allow emotions to control us. We can allow, and no one likes to control. If I were to ask you, how many of you guys want to be controlled by something? You're like, no, never. As teenagers, you think, I can't wait till I'm older and I can do whatever I want. And we all think like we have this complete freedom, but in honesty, we can allow emotions to control us. And sometimes that's good, all right? Some of you are super caring and nice and compassionate, and your emotion drives you in that way, and that's awesome. But we can also allow other ways where emotions can take control over us. And we see it all the time. You see it in toddlers because they have no control. They just drop on the floor wherever they're at and just start crying. Anybody have, you babysit or you have, younger brothers and sisters and you're with them, and it's the most nonsense thing, and they just start, bah! And they just lose it. And you're like, what do you want? I'm like, I want to be a dragon. And they'll just start crying for no reason because emotions control them. But as we get older, we still have those moments, We still have very real things, and it's not all a joke. We can still allow, jealousy to be a part of who we are. But when we allow it to control us, it can ruin friendships because we're jealous of how other people hang out and we didn't get to be there. So then we just completely pull away. Or in dating relationships, we can be jealous where it's almost like this negative controlling, it can be a very serious thing. We can allow emotions to overflow into other areas. We start feeling lonely, even though we have a ton of friends. But if we're not careful and that emotion controls us, then we start thinking and telling ourselves, well, they don't want me around anyway. And it can start building in your head and turn into a depression almost sort of thing. We see it build and build and build in all sorts of things. I see it all the time in dating relationships, or this idea of a romantic or love, and we turn into this emotional thing so that we are willing to bend or compromise who we are in order to feel that emotion, and we turn into different types of people just to have some sort of connection. When we allow that emotion to control us. And so while emotions are good, this idea of them controlling us can be a negative thing. And we want to look at that over the next few weeks. How do we allow emotions to control us? What emotions can really be hazardous when we allow it to control us? Now, I don't think there's any emotion we feel that necessarily is always a negative one. I think they can all be good. All of those things may have a bit in us. Even when you look at, we did a whole series about anxiety and dealing with that. It's been a long time, but we did it last year in Exodus. Anxiety is a very real thing that builds up inside of us, but it's not necessarily, it doesn't always start as a bad thing. Sometimes that anxiousness can be a good thing. It's a warning sign, maybe if something's going on. It can drive us to need to finish something or an assignment, but when we allow it to build up inside of us, we allow that to control us, it can turn into a very devastating and real thing in our life. And so when we allow these things to control us, it can be difficult. And all throughout Scripture, whenever you see Christ talking and he's sharing with people, and he's very conscious of sharing with them of, it's not necessarily how everything appears on the outside. Jesus understood everything that we do starts from the inside. It starts from our hearts. It starts from the thoughts we allow ourselves to think about or put into us. And he was sharing with this group of religious people that were very much outward centered. Here's what I do outward. And he's trying to get them to understand what happens outward is an overflow of what's really going on in your heart. Because he did not want people to be controlled by the junk that's going inside, because he knew that would flow outward. And there's this whole conversation he's having with these people. And in Mark chapter 7, Jesus is telling them, he says, listen, nothing outside of a person is going to defile them. And he's kind of talking to them about this religious law that they were dealing with. But he's trying to point back on what's going on in their hearts. And he says, rather, it's what comes out of a person that defiles them. What's going on inside, when you allow that to overflow, that can be the negative thing. That's when it all starts to take place. He goes down a little bit past that in verse 21. He says, it's from within, out of a person's heart, that these evil thoughts come from. That, and not only is the evil, like every emotion's evil, but when we allow it to become a controlling thing and it forms into a negative pattern or a negative behavior, it all starts from within. When we allow ourselves to have that emotional response, now crying, over-responding crying is not necessarily a negative or sinful pattern. But when it turns into these other things that can be hurtful or harmful to other people, when we allow those things to control us, then it can be. Today I want to kind of focus more on this idea of anger. when we can allow anger to overflow into our lives. And anger can take place not necessarily like, I mean, a lot of you aren't like, I get so mad, and you're just walking around smashing and punching walls all the time. But anger can turn into and manifest into all sorts of different things. When we allow ourselves to be angry, it can control us into maybe it is an overflow of some sort of aggressive behavior. But anger can also be giving someone the silent treatment. Maybe that's been you, where a friend made you mad, so you just stop responding to them altogether. Or it can turn into, and anger can turn into removing yourself from everybody. Like you get so mad at everybody, so that anger can then turn into some sort of other feeling, some sort of other fear almost. We allow anger to start building up and controlling who we are. And so we look at this idea of anger, this idea of just that temper, and we see that it's a very powerful emotion. We know right now, I mean, you look at our culture right now, even some of the events that have taken place over the last few weeks, and we have seen an overflow of anger, an overflow of the loudest person in the room is the only one that gets heard. And so we just raise our voice and we get louder and we have to get more and more angry. You probably have experienced this maybe if you've ever argued with a brother or sister or mom or dad, and you're talking about something that is so stupid, something so small, but anger takes over, anger controls. So all of a sudden that one thing, because your brother or sister borrowed your favorite shirt, now turned into like slamming doors mad, or taking out the trash turned into now you're grounded for a week because you kicked something else or you yelled at somebody for something that your parents asked you to do. It overflows into all of us around us. Or maybe that anger, I've seen it just wreck friendships because one friend got mad at somebody. And that other friend, think about if this has been you, you've been mad at somebody and you allowed anger to build up because you start having, does anybody have like conversations that's only between you and that other person, but it's only happening in your mind? You just have this back and forth argument like, well, I would tell them this, and then they would probably say this, and I would say this. And you start building up an anger in you, and that person doesn't even know what's happening. You can have a dream about, you ever wake up from a dream that something bad happened, and now you're mad at that person, and they're like, they didn't even know what was going on. And we allow anger to overflow in our life. And so this can take place in so many little things. It can overflow into school, where a teacher or a friend. It can overflow with parents. It can overflow into our brothers or our sisters. It's definitely, I've seen it so many times, ruin friendships and spark things in ministry, in churches, when we allow anger. Because anger is a natural emotion, but when we allow it to control it, just like what Jesus said, when we allow it to overflow in our heart and that action comes out, that's when we see negative behavior. And people have this anger in them. And what we tend to do is we blame that anger on other people, right? Well, it's not my fault. That's not my fault. That was their fault, and they deserved it. And we have this anger that flows over, and we blame others for why we got angry. And it's not just teenagers, not just kids. I mean, as adults, we get this thing inside of us, and we don't know how else to express it, what else to do with it. And so it overflows in anger, and that's what can be harmful to others. If you drive, you've experienced anger. You want to honk your horn. You want to tail that guy. You want to ram them off the road, maybe. For all of you, it can be whatever. It forms in so many different ways in different people. But we have it. And when we allow it to build, it can hurt. I've had students and parents who are like, my kid hasn't talked to me in 3 weeks because they're mad at me. And so it can be that passive anger where we allow it to build and hurt. Or it can be that manifest where it's like, you got to fix my drywall now, you dummy, because you decided to kick a hole in the wall because there's too many people looking around at people here. Wow. Somebody. So we see this. And so I want you guys to think about like how these emotions can take place. And when we blame other people, when we blame others for the overflow of our anger, for the overflow of our emotion and a negative pattern, what you are then saying is that person controlled how I acted. It wasn't my fault. That person's responsible for me acting the way I am. And that's simply not how it is. When you look, again, throughout Scripture, I mean, Christ's whole point through all the time is desiring this idea of freedom from this garbage, freedom from sin or freedom from negativity that can control us. And so I want to jump way over here just because of time. I want to look at when Paul is writing to this church in Philippi. And he writes in Philippians chapter 2 or 3, chapter 2, he writes this idea of like being like Christ. And I love what he says here because this is not a message of, okay, so when you feel anger, count to 10 and then it'll go away. When you overflow, no, then it just gets like by the time you're at 10, like that's when I'm really angry. It's not a self-help or fix yourself or, hey, don't be angry. You're going to experience anger in life. You're just going to. It's going to happen. Someone's going to do something that's going to hurt you. And it may be where someone did something that sparked that feeling that you had no control over, and that anger builds in your life. But here's what Paul writes when he's talking about being like Christ. In Philippians chapter 2, he's writing to this church, and he says, if you have any encouragement from being united with Christ, if any comfort from his love and sharing, if any sharing of the Spirit, if any tenderness and compassion, then make my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same love. And there's really some key words there, all right? He says, if you have any encouragement from being united with Christ, if you have any encouragement from this relationship you have with Jesus, this idea that Christ is going through life with you, then there is a life that looks different than allowing these negative overflow of emotions. But he also says, if any comfort, if any sharing in his Spirit. See, we have something different. As a believer, we have this ability. We have the fact that God said, I am here with you. That God's Spirit is working in our lives. For those of you who have ever had a moment in your life where you were in God's Word and you were praying, you can probably attest to that. You can probably speak that, like, yeah, my life was different. Like, I felt better. I just felt better. I was happier. It was just different. That is because when we allow God to work in our life, when he says we are sharing in the Spirit of who God is the one that starts to remove that junk from our life. And he replaces that junk with this idea of joy, this tenderness, with compassion, with those negative things that can overflow into sin when we allow anger to overflow in our life. He says, man, if you are sharing that Spirit with Christ, if you are in this relationship with God, that anger that builds up, you're no longer like, yeah, that person did something, but I choose how I'm going to respond to it. And my choice is going to be like Christ. And if I am walking in a relationship with Christ, it's going to be a lot easier. I don't have to just I'll just do it myself. It is because God has begun changing who we are, changing our life. That's what it's all about. It is not about, hey, go be good teenagers. It is about share in the Spirit that God has for you. Allow God to be the one that changes. That only comes from walking in a relationship with Jesus. Getting in his word, praying, giving these things over to God. So that person that may have driven you to that anger, you are now praying about it. That spirit of anger that's in you, maybe you are someone that's like, your friends are like, this guy's got a temper. Well, start giving that over to God. Like, God, I don't want to have that. I don't want to be known as like the guy that gets mad all the time. Start praying and giving that to God and share in the Spirit. The only way to be like Christ is to share in what God has for us. And that's where it all starts. And so as you guys go to your groups here this morning for a few minutes, I want you to think about, when is it hardest to control that anger in your life? When is it hardest for that emotion? And I think this is something that everybody struggles with. Everybody has something where this is caused, but how you handle it is different. How you deal with it is different. But we all have that. So think about, like, here are the times where I always get really angry. Think about how you always have acted on that anger. How has that overflowed into your life? Has it overflowed in a negative way before? What's taken place with that? Where did that get you? And then what does that look like to start giving that to God? Start allowing God to change your heart, to change who you are, so that that junk is not what's overflowing. Jesus said it's what comes out of you. That's what's going to defile. That's what's going to cause sin. It's what's going to come out of your heart. So let's let God start dealing with that stuff in our hearts now so it's not overflowing. So, guys, when you go to your groups, be honest. Talk about some of this stuff. For some of you, maybe this isn't like your big struggle. Maybe it's something we'll deal with over the next few weeks. But for some of you, it probably is. And how you handle that definitely matters. All right, let's pray. God, I thank you for this day. I thank you for this lesson, God. Just this idea of what we do with that anger, what we do when we get mad, how that can overflow, how that can be hurtful, how that can break friendships, how it can cause a wall between us. There might be some teenagers in here that their anger is directed at you today, God. They look at their life. They look at what's going on at their home, maybe something that's going on between their parents, maybe something that's happened to them, and they may say, I'm mad at God, though, right now. We need to take that to you. We need to be honest with who we are and give that to you, God. And so I thank you. Pray for great conversation this morning. Amen. All right, you guys can go ahead and go on to your groups. If anybody was meeting in the special people's room that's up there, they are back on and meeting now, so you're going to have to find a different spot. All right? So go ahead and break out. Don't forget, we do have life groups this Wednesday.